So, as a lot of you know, 2026 has been a very big year for gaming. As games come out one day after the other, it's kinda hard to pick which one to play first. This year, Capcom released a really new exciting game called PRAGMATA. But what if I told you that this game has already been in development for over 6 years? The first time that I saw PRAGMATA back in 2023, I was already really interested in it. As Capcom was the developers and I was currently playing through the Resident Evil games, I was very excited to see what they were going to do with this new original premise. The first reveal trailer for PRAGMATA came out all the way back in 2020, but because of many delays, it was pushed back 3 years. Unfortunately, even in 2023, it was delayed again and again until finally, in 2026, it was able to finally release. With the catalog that's come out this year, I didn't really get the chance to play it until a little bit later than I would have liked to, so now, 3 months later, I was able to finally spare the time to be able to sit down and play this game all the way through. Unfortunately, this game doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. In my personal opinion, I thought that this game was an absolute masterpiece. From the minute I picked up the controller, I was hooked. I definitely could put my opinions in a couple words for this game, but I don't think that's fair to the game itself because of how much this concept blew me away. So without further ado, here is your review on PRAGMATA. The game puts you in the shoes of an astronaut named Hugh who has been dispatched to a moon base called the Cradle. The Cradle is an AI 3D printing base that builds structures based on what it sees on Earth. As the crew begins to explore the wreckage of the base, all of them are separated and killed except for Hugh. As Hugh wakes up, he's found by a little girl later called Diana. Diana is a state-of-the-art pragmata bot, which means basically she can interact with all of the robots and mechanisms behind them. Diana and Hugh make it their goal to contact Earth to tell them what's going on the ship. As they depart on their path, the main antagonist of the game, Edis, an AI robot, sends multiple forces to try to kill them. Through multiple boards and levels, the relationship between Hugh and Diana grows as you progress toward the main objective of contacting Earth. As far as science fiction goes, this is an awesome game about space, robots, and human nature, as Hugh learns to survive in an unfamiliar environment, but also learns to love Diana and essentially take her in and teach her what it is to become human. I personally love this story because it made you love and care about Diana as she was your own daughter. As you save her from the danger ahead, she also saves you. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil the whole premise of the campaign, but the adventure that you two spend together is not only fun, but also emotional, with heartbreaking moments and also heartwarming moments in one 12-hour experience. Seriously, if you haven't played PRAGMATA yet, I would definitely recommend playing it because this was one of the most fun stories I've ever played through. Personally, from the beginning to the end of PRAGMATA, the combat felt unique and exciting. With different enemy types and different weak points for each of them, it actually led the game to feel a little bit challenging at moments where it was simple at other times. The different hacks and weapons made the combat feel very interesting, especially with the limited ammo, forcing you to use your mobility and an instinct just to survive. The premise of hacking an enemy just to unlock its weak points was so interesting to me because some of the enemies were super easy to hack while others took a really long time. Near the end of the game in my playthrough, I went for an overheating and critical hit build as it made hacking enemies feel more rewarding than initially hacking a bot and then just shooting it. In my personal opinion, I really liked the different variations of weapons and enemies throughout the story because it made the game progress better and feel more rewarding throughout every different section. From what I've seen online, many people have said that the combat felt very repetitive after a while, but I didn't really experience this because I was using a lot of different builds and changing up what I could do the entire time. Especially as the game got harder, I actually started enjoying it more. Especially as the game progresses, you get more familiar with the hacking and how to use it successfully against enemies. I definitely struggled at some points throughout the story, but I'm glad it wasn't easy the entire time, which definitely leads me to my next segment of the bosses in this game. The bosses at the end of every level definitely felt like a step up from the basic enemy encounters that we had throughout the first couple levels. The bosses all felt very exciting and new, having to memorize attack strings, find opening, and weak spots all together, except for the Garden Keeper, fuck that guy. From the first fight with the Sector Guard, which was a very early game entertaining fight, all the way up to the last fight with 8. The difficulty spikes and variation led to a very fun and positive experience with the bosses, with some of them being very simple and easy to avoid, with others being very slippery and hitting you like a bus. Here's a full breakdown of the bosses and my personal experience fighting them. The Sector Guard was easy and slow with fun evasion and plenty of resources to deal with him, allowing for a swift, entertaining kill with not much to it. The boss appears after the first mission segment and takes a couple of seconds to figure out his weak points since you haven't faced many bots at this point. The second boss in the game, in the New York City segment, was called the Creator. When I first saw the Creator, I was very scared and was expecting a very hard boss fight, but luckily the Creator was super easy to beat with very large weak points and very slow attack strings. Still, this was a very entertaining fight with a lot of different attacks and a very satisfying finisher. Third boss in this game is the Garden Keeper. Okay, here's what I'll say about the Garden Keeper. In my personal opinion, this felt like a cheese fight. Maybe I wasn't using the right weapons, but he took very little damage and you could destroy your health bar in 1 to 2 attacks. He's a little tanky for my liking and evaded every short range attack that I threw at him, so it kinda just felt like a gimmick fight. While it was still a fun boss fight, it just felt strenuous and stupid at moments, especially with the tail flick and lasers. His weak points were hard to hit, being under his stomach and on the top of his head, and he always had some move that I hadn't seen before waiting for me right after I dodged. I don't know, I think something wasn't clicking in my brain during this fight, but eventually I beat it. Fourth boss didn't really feel like a boss fight, as you were fighting the Luna Digger who you had already seen previously to this moment. It had very simple and easy to hit weak points, and it wasn't too tanky during the fight. Personally, I thought this was one of the most fun boss fights in the game because it shot these drones at you that you could hack underground and send them right back at it for additional damage. All in all, the Luna Digger was fun and exciting without feeling like it was too long, and I could make mistakes during the fight without being punished heavily for them. Now, I'll get to the fifth and my most favorite fight of the game, which was the Sentinel. I really enjoyed the way that the Sentinel fought because it was fast, but also it felt scary the first time you saw it. After you unlocked the cleanse attack from Diana, you were able to use this new attack to your advantage with a brief window that would punish you if you waited for too long or acted too greedy. All while dodging its long attack strings and finding openings to be able to shoot it, as well as cleansing it. The fight never felt stale to me and always kept me involved in attempting to decide whether to evade or advance on the bot. I thought this whole boss fight sequence was fantastic, especially after you weren't able to do anything the first time you saw it without Diana's cleanse. Now I'll get to the final real boss fight of the game, being 8, or Edis. Personally, I thought that this fight was the most challenging, especially since she is the final real boss of the game. I died 3 or 4 times throughout this fight just because of stupid mistakes or not understanding the combos, but other than that, it was still a really fun fight. One of my favorite parts about this fight specifically was that while you were hacking her, she was also hacking you, which made the hacking sequence a lot more fun and a lot more stressful at moments. Seriously, a super fun final fight with a lot of replayability and a great end to the antagonist of the game. As most Capcom games do, there's usually a final gimmick fight where you don't really have to do a lot to kill it, but it's still kind of a fun, cool experience, at least on a story building standpoint. As the Biosis or living embodiment of the Dark Filament chases after you while you're trying to head up to the cradle to contact Earth, Diana and Hugh are able to connect to this giant railgun and shoot this thing 3 or 4 times, finally ending it. Biosis wasn't a real boss fight since it was one of those final solutions similar to what they did in the train scene of Resident Evil 2, but it was definitely a cool ending to the Dark Filament entity and gave us a super satisfying finisher, charging up the railgun for one final attack in similar Capcom fashion. Something that I really enjoyed about this game was the level design and the unique environment you got to be put into. From space hangars, underground simulated New York buildings, or even giant wilderness segments with full beaches and caves, you could find secrets in every little nook and cranny that you looked in, with resources throughout all of them. The progression in this game felt easy and actually rewarding by going and finding these things. The sheer different range of environments you got to experience was just so interesting to me. The interactions that Hugh has with Diana in these areas are so special because of her curious nature and questions, as Hugh explains and gets to share his experiences back on Earth while seeing these amazing augmented scenes. My personal favorite was the New York segment because of the exploration and platforming, all while completing objectives. Even the bleakest areas in this game were pretty. As excited as I was for this game's release, I'm glad that they had all the delays so they could really refine and hone in on the visuals and graphics that they needed to make this game feel so special. After completing this game, I will say that it is one of my most favorite games that I've played this year, alongside with 007 First Light, Resident Evil 9, and Mouse PI for Hire. With 2026 being a huge year for gaming, Pragmata definitely exceeded my expectations, and I was so happy how it turned out. I think the delays were really important for the development of this project because it allowed for fine-tuning and important details that make Pragmata truly the game that it is today. If you have not played this game, I would 100% recommend it to anybody who hasn't yet. So that was my honest opinion on Pragmata. I hope y'all really enjoy, and I'd love to see y'all in the next one. Please consider liking and subscribing so I can make more videos like this. Let me know your full thoughts on Pragmata in the comments section below. So, hopefully, I'll see y'all in the next one. But first, I want to show y'all what's coming next.